Hello, greetings. So, time for a Gorean topic. And the topic is something I have been asked about, but which I haven't seen a lot of videos or blog posts of. And it surprises me that there aren't more about this out there because it's a constant problem. And that is, how do you, as a Gorean free woman, react to free men asking you to become their slave, or often treating you as a slave? How do you respond? And since I do have a tendency to deal with quite a few Goreans, and I encounter this quite often. So, of course, this is just my opinion and a few advice about how I have dealt with it. But I hope that you can find it useful in some way. Now, I think that the first thing you have to look at is this some way to try to shut down your voice in a debate? Or just some insecure man who has never read the books and has just come to Goreanism because he hears male-dominated, therefore all women will bow to me? Or is it actually a compliment? And what do I mean by compliment? Well, in the Gorean lifestyle, slavery, first of all, it's the ultimate expression of femininity. So that saying to a woman, you would be a great slave, is a compliment on her femininity. The other thing is that when a man says that, would you like to be my slave? It is sort of saying, I think you are pretty enough, or intelligent enough, or interesting enough. Basically, you are quality merchandise. You would be of high worth as a slave. May I have you, please? And that is actually a compliment. And you can take it like that. And for a lot of the men I respect within the Gorean community, if they ask me such a question, I take it as such. I take it as a compliment. Now, since I am free, I find it as a bigger compliment. Those that have said that basically you are definitely a free woman. You act honorably as a free person. But I still see it as a compliment when those I respect say that you would be a quality slave, because it is a compliment. It is saying you would be worth the time and effort and cost of owning. However, well, that can be a positive thing, and what you respond to that, I would basically just say, thank you for the compliment, but I'm quite happy free. Simple as that. It doesn't have to be any more like that. You acknowledge that it is intended as a compliment, and just inform them that, no, I'm more happy as a free person. Then, of course, you have the jerks. And let's be honest here. There are a lot of jerks in our lifestyle, unfortunately. I mean, when I first was introduced to Goreanism, way back when Color Me was the big forum when it came to anything to do with BDSM, mastery and slavery lifestyle, and so on and so forth. At first, I thought Goreans were horrible, because the ones I met on the forum, they were the step on all women, I have a penis, worship me kind of idiots that spoke about beheading slaves. So yeah, you have those. And you would be surprised at how many Goreans think that there shouldn't be any free women. Despite that, there are definitely free women within the books. And Jon Norman has said, yeah, about 90% of the female population on Gore are actually free. And despite the fact that these various societies that the Gorean lifestyle is based on had definitely had free women. There are quite a few that feels that there should not be any free women within the Gorean lifestyle. And the reason for this is generally fair. It's because they tend to be tiny little men that are so afraid of women that they seek out a lifestyle where they think that all women will be submissive to them just because of their tiny little dick. So that when they meet a woman that does not conform to this, they go ballistic. And also, you have quite a few slave girls that have the same thing. They treat all women within the lifestyle as slaves. Very often they will react very poorly to a free woman. And often that is because they want to be submissive, but they just can't stand the idea of being submissive towards a woman. But anyway, a lot of these people will speak to a free woman in a very derogatory way and say things like, well, you're just fitting as slave meat. Would you like to be my slave? It's very clear it's not a compliment. It is a way to try to put down her opinion. Usually this will come when a free woman is in a disagreement with a man. And generally my opinion is that they're not worth it. I know I don't always manage to follow my own advice there because I have a temper like hell. But the best thing to do with people like this is to ignore them because they are not worth it. They are not worthy of your time and effort. So, generally speaking, ignoring their comment or basically just asking them to go and fuck themselves is generally speaking the best way to deal with it. Though sometimes they can be disarmed by the same polite response that you would give to those that you feel have asked you to become a slave or treating you as a slave, and you feel it's a compliment, because a lot of these people, when they throw out insults, if you respond very calmly, very politely, they lose their shit. So basically saying, thank you for the compliment, but I'm quite happy free. So yeah, if you put this into some categories, basically you have the people that they are impressed with you in some way, shape or form. It might be your appearance, it might be your intelligence, it might be your cookery, whatever reason, they are impressed with you and I think that you would be prime quality slave meat, and they offer you a color, or at least talking with them about becoming their slave. Now, some of them are under the impression that all women within the lifestyle that are free are just waiting for some man to pick them up. And others simply they want you. And this, to me, is a compliment, and there's no reason to bite their head off. You can just reply politely that, no, thank you. It's simple as that. They are not dangerous. It's a compliment. It's just saying, I'm impressed by you. I think you have high value. Then you have the ones that are trying to belittle you because they can't handle a free woman. And most of them are in no way, shape, or form dangerous, and you can safely just either ignore them or basically just tell them to go away, though they will usually then have a fit. Or you can try to just pull the rug out under them and reply just as politely, and then continue with the debate because you have every right to speak your mind. Now, there are a few of these that can be creeps. I have been threatened with being kidnapped and with rape a few times. And generally speaking, my advice if you receive such threats is to, if it is online, then seek out the admins of the forum, Facebook group, chat room, or whatever it is you are talking in, and report the person. Save their posts in case they just delete it to delete all evidence. Save the post, send this into the admins, and ask for help. And of course, if they get more persistent, find out your address, call you, start to harass you, and so on and so forth, you might want to consider calling the police. Now, I know there has been some debate within the Gorean community whether or not a free woman should call the police if she is threatened by a free man in any way, or if it should always be an internal affair. I think that definitely you should call the police, because here's the thing. If you look at the books, they have policing, they have city guards. And our police force are exactly the same thing. They're the city guards, and a free woman has every right to ask for their help. However, most of the time, even such a threat is not really credible, because this guy in America is going to fly all the way to Norway and trace down a fat witch over here? Not that likely. So yeah, stay safe, but for the most part, you don't have to worry. Now, I know that some people also have asked, do a woman have the right to, if she doesn't have a free companion, does she have the right to refuse slavery? Yeah, absolutely. I know there are a few people who interpret the idea that a woman is only free as long as a man wants her to be. That basically interpret that quote as meaning as if any man, for whatever reason, wants you to be a slave, then you have to immediately fall to your knees and obey. I mean, there was this woman in a forum that mentioned color me. And she said, yeah, if a free man came to her and said, you are now my slave, she would immediately obey, unless there was one of the free men she knew that were willing to stand up and say, no, she's free. Yeah, here's what would happen if a man came with that to me. I would say, first, laugh my fat ass off. Then I would invite him in for a cup of coffee. It doesn't work like that. Here's the thing. Like I've explained a lot of times, but it seems that people have very problem understanding the point of this quote. It doesn't mean any man can demand the freedom of any woman. If you look at the Gore books, it doesn't work like that. Women are free citizens. They have citizens' rights within the city-states they live in. However, there are a few things to consider, and one of them is that the reason, for example, that women have the rights that we have in Western society today is, generally speaking, because we have a military and we have police forces that ensure that we have them. Because let's say a man wants to rape you, you can go to the police for help. There will be people protecting you. And there's still this, that the majority of these people, these warriors, are men. Therefore, unless men were willing to protect the women of their societies, it would be survival of the fittest. And while there will be some women that is stronger than some men, and then sad day for him, she'll have her way with him. Generally speaking, men are stronger, faster, and better fighters than women, and will be able to do whatever they please with a woman. And as such, within a society that doesn't have our ideals about equality, and generally speaking, a woman would only remain free for as long as a man was willing to protect her, or the justice system of a society, like in our society, were willing to protect women and give them that right. Now, of course, like A woman, like with a man, can value her freedom more than her life, and this is also mentioned within the Gore books, where when a city is taken, generally speaking, women gets the choice, the free women of the city gets the choice, slavery or death. The ones that choose death are the ones, they are executed, but they are also celebrated as being the only ones that were truly free. If you are willing to die for your freedom, nobody can take it away from you. At best, they can make you a captive. They can never make you a slave. However, here's the thing, it's also a lot more common for men to be willing to set their ideals and their freedom about their lives than women. This is natural because men were the upholders of society, while women were the nurturers. If a woman dies, that is bad for the entire society. But if a man dies, one man can impregnate a lot of women. So it was necessary for early humanity for women to be less willing to take risks and also less willing to die for principles and concepts such as freedom. So it's more likely that a woman will choose comfortable slavery to an uncomfortable freedom or death. This is what the quote means. It is A, far more likely, excuse my cat, it is far more likely for a woman to be willing to give up her freedom if given the choice slavery or death. And B, if a woman doesn't have a protector, far fewer women than men will be able to protect themselves in a society where it is might makes right. This is what the quote, a woman is only free for as long as a man desires it, means. It is true, but it does not mean that a woman should automatically fall to her knees and accept slavery to any Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes her way and demands it. It doesn't work like that. Yes. So, if a man tries to pull that card and says, no, but it says here, a woman is only free for as long as a man desires her to be there, and I desire you to be a slave, so you're my slave now, you can say, a man desires it. There are men that desires my freedom. Go fuck yourself. Or just say, yeah, no. I own my freedom. I'm willing to die for it. Luckily, because there are men that are willing to fight for my freedom, and women in today's society that are willing to fight for my freedom, I don't have to make that choice with you. I can just ignore you. But if we were on the plains of Gore and you gave me the choice, slavery or death, I would choose death. So no, I'm not your slave. That would be a perfectly acceptable response to that. So yeah, no, even if you recognize yourself as Gorean does not mean you have to accept slavery by anyone. Gorean slavery is consensual. If you want to be a slave, then seek out a master. If you do not seek out slavery, if you do not want to be a slave, you have every single right to remain free. Now, your peers might not recognize you as such, but you have every right to call yourself free as long as you live freely and honorably in accordance with your own nature. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Have a great day and blessed be.